Hello, I'm EnterElysium, and we're back in Kerbal Origins, Kerbal Space Program, Jool, and back again. So we've just got to be able to get all of our guys back from Jool and from the surface of all the planets. So let's start with the one that I'm a little bit worried about, the Tylo landing. We've got 2.5 kilometers of delta V, and we've got to get into a stable orbit. Now, we do have the advantage of there being no atmosphere, so we can basically go up and then burn. I think we're burning retrograde here because the fuel tanker in orbit is also in retrograde orbit. So if we can just make sure we can clear the mountains and get a stable orbit at, I don't know, 20 kilometers height or whatever, we'll be fine. So what I'm watching here is the time to periaps, the height of the periaps, and also to a certain extent the apoaps. So we're just going to burn up a little bit here because the apoaps being like 1 kilometer was not going to be able to clear the mountains. Space near Tylo. Space near Tylo, good. Just going to grab all the tasty science. And apoaps of like 12 kilometers. Yeah, well, I think we could boost that a little bit more. Because it'd be kind of annoying if we actually got into a stable orbit and then hit a mountain. So yeah, I'm just going to wait until we get to an apoaps here because we've got to try and preserve our fuel consumption. We've only got 575 delta V left. And we've got to be able to boost our periaps from being a minus 320 kilometers to actually being, 17 or more. So it's going to be interesting. That's one way to put it. Now, we do have the fuel tanker in orbit. I put the fuel tanker into orbit beforehand. Because, I knew we were going to be tight on fuel for this mission. And we've done it. We've got we need to sort out our periaps because it's a little bit low, but we've got an apoaps of 44 and we've got a periaps of 11, which means it'll be very little to actually boost that periaps up. So actually, we've successfully managed to take off from Tylo into what will be a stable orbit once I, correct it a little bit. So we'll bring the fuel tanker down. It is so weird on such a large planet, such a low altitude, trying to do a docking maneuver. This just feels so odd. Just burn towards it. Get closer, negate velocity. And here we go. Now I've pointed the docking ports to the normal of the orbit, which I think is like the best plan with any docking maneuver. You really want to have your docking ports so that they're not rotating relative to the planet. There we go. Let's transfer all the fuel over. There we go. That should be plenty of delta V to do... well, not plenty, but it should be enough to be able to meet up with the return ship. So let's do Lathe. Now, Lathe I'm actually even more worried about because we've got an atmosphere to go through. And we don't have a ridiculously powerful rocket or anything. We just have the standard lander. And it should have landed with 2 more tanks than this, but I, of course, screwed up the maneuvers. So let's transfer all the fuel from the inside tanks to the outside tanks. Why are we doing this? Because we need the thrust-to-weight ratio. Now, the outside tanks have the better engines on them for the thrust-to-weight ratio. The inside tanks only have the LV909s. And we want the LV45, so let's take off. Because we need this thrust-to-weight ratio to be able to get through this atmosphere. So, just pointing almost directly up to begin with. We are running out of fuel very quickly. This is really worrying me. I'm not sure if this is going to be successful or not. Okay, well, I do. I know, because I'm talking about this post-commentary. But, at the time, I was really, really, really worried. Let's get our data. Ooh, that's a good amount of data. Lot of data. Yep, we can get some pressure data. 60. Yeah. Oh, because we already got some on the... Yeah, okay. Let's drop those tanks. Because, well, they're empty, and we've got no choice, really. We need to keep burning, and let's just hope our thrust-to-weight ratio of only 1.6... It's 1.6 now, because we've burned off some of the fuel, so it's not as bad as it was when on the surface. We're only 10 kilometers in height, we've got 2k of delta V left, and we need to get, I think it's above 55 for the atmosphere of Lathe. So we've got a fair way to go. This is definitely not the optimal way to take off from Lathe. Now, ideally, you really want to build a different lander for Lathe as opposed to Val. But, you know, I was trying to use the same vanilla lander, and of course that never worked for Tyler, so we had to send a special lander over for Tyler and just drop the old lander. And, yeah, that's true to a certain extent with Lathe as well. For instance, on landing, we should have had more parachutes. It would have saved us some delta V. We're up to 22 kilometers now. And only 1.6 kilometer delta V, so it's getting dicey. Definitely getting dicey. Now we do have one more fuel tanker. It's currently in a Jool orbit, so we can use that. But that is our last fuel tanker, so we have to make sure it counts. So if we can get into orbit, we'll bring that over from Jool orbit. And we now have an apoapse that is at 41 kilometers. We need to boost that. It needs to go over 55. So keep that on. We'll also try and get rid of some of our inclination because we've got like 3.5 degrees, so we want to try and get that down a little bit. Apoapse is 52. Delta V is less than a kilometer. See, this is why I love the mech jeb just for the data we get, because this data is incredibly important. So there we go. We've got an apoapse of just under 60. Just bring that up a little bit. Try and get it bang on 60 if we can. There we go. And now we've got 800 delta V left exactly. That should probably be enough to sort out a periapse. I was really worried initially because we were burning for it very quickly in the bottom of the atmosphere. But I think we should be able to boost up periapse. We've got 800 delta V. Hopefully. Point is prograde, and time to apoapse is 1 minute 6 seconds. Also, the benefits of having this data on screen at the moment, I don't have to keep clicking map view and off map view, map view, off map view, because map view in vanilla is of course the only way to tell how long it is to your periapse and your apoapse. Whereas here, you know, we actually have some decent data. So let's bring that down. It's 25. Let's fire the engine up. Whoa, did something just fly past? Maybe I'm imagining things. Anyway, let's bring that up. Okay, maybe I overestimated the amount of delta V we had. 800 is maybe not going to... Ooh, 400. Oh, this is getting close. 300. 250. Oh! It's rather odd for an orbit, but we can rough it out with 200 delta V left. But we have it. We have, again, about 200 delta V left. So both this and Tyler have been very close. Talk about down to the wire. And you know, lots of you probably saw the Tyler lander in the last episode and been like, oh, that's way over the top, you don't need that much. Yeah, we really cut it close. That was only like the bare minimum. So let's get our science here. Oh, there's apparently a magnetic field around Lathe, or at least like there is some interaction with the magnetic field. Interesting. I don't think there's meant to be. Alright, let's sort out. Needs a bit more. And there we we go. There we go. 75 kilometers, and we have 188 meters per second left. There is a magnetic field. Strange. Right, well, we've got to bring in some fuel now, I guess, because otherwise we're not going to get anywhere else. We kind of need to get this back. And here we go. Our refueling craft. Now, we're just trying to sort out the inclination here, because it ended up in a very inclined orbit. And I hadn't really roughed it out, so we'll just try and sort the inclination. Then we'll burn over to Lathe and try and get this thing to dock, and hopefully transfer like enough fuel that we can actually get a very easy intercept. Now we're just going to boost our periaps a little bit, just so our periaps doesn't go through the atmosphere. There we go, that's fine. Ooh, that's close. Oh, actually, it is a connection. It didn't appear to be a connection. There's some problems with the maneuver node system on this. It doesn't seem to say until very late if you're getting a maneuver, but I suspected there we might. So, okay, we need 600 delta V. This is of course coming out of a fuel budget, so any fuel we're burning now is not going to be transferred over. So drop the back section, and our delta V is getting... it's still fairly good. But the back section had 4 engines on it, so we actually do lose a lot of our thrust ratio. So now we're down to a thrust to weight ratio of 0.54, which is pretty slow, but it's fine. So we're docked now, transfer the fuel over. We've even got that center tank left, so we're having to dock in a very weird way. But there's plenty of fuel, and we filled the entire craft up with fuel. Oh, we will, put it that way. And... ta-da! Lots and lots of tasty fuel. Just filled it up. There's only a tiny bit left. Beautiful. Right, and Val. Now, this one I'm not as worried about, because it's a pretty small, pretty low gravity, and there's no atmosphere. So, since we don't have a refueling craft, it's probably good that, you know, we're going to be okay. However, it does mean that the delta V we have is also the delta V we need to get us back to Jool, into orbit, meet the return craft, and dock. So we're going to have to make sure every bit of it counts. So getting into orbit's not the problem, it's getting into orbit with plenty of fuel left, getting to Jool with plenty of fuel left. So no screw-ups. Yes, it does appear that every single one of these craft is cutting it very close. So here we go, we've got an apoapsis of 4. Let's bring the legs in, because why not? Magnetosphere. Apparently there is maybe a tiny bit, maybe, possibly, but mostly it's Jool. Interesting. Can't time warp, can't time warp. So let's do some physical time warp and normal time warp. There we go. Valve does look pretty. It's a bit cold, but it does look pretty. Now, getting to apoaps shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've got 1.8 kilometers of delta V. And 1.5. Now, some of you have been asking, what is delta V? A lot of you, know, because you've played Kerbal Space Program a lot and you've found out. But delta V is how much you can change your velocity. It's not acceleration, because acceleration is over time. Delta V can be over the course of an hour or over the course of a second. So it's how much, if you can go from 0 to 10 meters per second, that would be 10 meters per second of delta V. You could do that over an hour, you could do that over a second. It doesn't matter. That's how much you can change your velocity. Because it doesn't matter really much how fast you can do a maneuver in space. What matters is, have you got enough delta V to be able to change your velocity enough that you'll be captured, you'll get from here to here. So we've got our lovely Tylo lander now trying to meet it with the return craft. So there we go. We've got a nice connection. And there we go, right. So let's burn. Do. Ooh, there we go, right. So it's about 10 kilometers away. That's not great. So let's just put another mover node in and see if we can actually get this closer. Because the closer you can get it, the further away, the less fuel it'll take. It's a smaller change in the angle. So here we go. Ooh, it looks good. Looks good. Target approach data says that we will be within 3.4 kilometers, which is pretty good considering it's a Jool orbit, so it's a pretty big area. So let's make sure we negate our velocity. Now the target approach data panel is actually a custom panel that I made using MechJeb because I like to have my target data there. And 3.4 kilometers away, that's pretty good. And we've got 280 delta V left, so that's plenty. Because we're not doing any sort of planetary maneuvers, we're just doing a tiny little correction. So we should get within 45 meters at the moment. So let's warp. There we go, 90. It does change because time warp does have a weird effect on positions. There we go. 8, 6, 5, 12, 15. There we go. 12-ish meters away. I think that's close enough. And here we go, the return vehicle. The thing that's been forgotten for a very long time. There we go. 0 target velocity. And I think we're done with every section other than the interior. So let's eject them. And parallel minus. And let's get ourselves over. Now the red thing on the nav ball is actually the docking indicator that is from a mod that I've installed, which is incredibly useful. So all we've got to do is try and get both the yellow and the purple icons in that red dot to make sure we get a perfect bang on docking. Now if we were not worrying about lateral velocity, we could just get the yellow dot. There we go. That works rather well. I just hope that we're not going to be heating it up with the nuclear engines. So let's try doing another one. Right, so we're getting away from the docking craft, and that's not going to be a good orbit. Now, the really annoying thing about Lathe is it's very close to Jool, and it means that any decent Jool orbit, we're going to have issues with Lathe influencing the orbits and the gravity. So let's do a very long and slow burn, because the LV-909 is not particularly thrust weight amazing. And there we go, right. We have an orbit. Now we're going to push the orbit out a little bit, because I don't want them being in a weird orbital resonance. I want them having like a decent change in orbital period, so that we can actually move around the orbit and the point will change. So let's warp until we're there. Ooh, we can see here that, there we go. We have something that's close, so let's try and put a maneuver node in to get them closer. 0.5 kilometers or something. Well, if we can get that, that'd be perfect. Plenty of delta V left in this one because it was Lathe. It was very close. Alright, so let's try and do this. There we go. And there we go, close approach. We're going to be within load distance. Awesome. So we're going to go straight for a meeting, negate our velocity again. You know the drill by now. Now, our target velocity difference is 320, so we've got plenty of delta V. Non-issue, really. Let's reduce that. And burn towards it. 200 meter difference. 20 seconds, 18, 15. There we go, let's reduce that. And let's repack our parachutes, because we used them at Lathe, which they weren't really designed for. That was external to the mission, but we decided to, use them to save on a bit of Delta V. And, right, let's point towards our target. Now, we do need to get rid of these boosters at some stage, so I think we'll just get a bit closer, and then we'll... Ooh, 7 meters, there we go. When we reduce our velocity, we can get rid of them. There we go. Reduce our velocity a little bit, and let's eject the boosters. Now, there we go. Right. And there we go. Now I decided to leave the engines on just that they fly away. It looks pretty that way. It also means that there's less debris close into the docking craft, because we don't want to be coming in and massively fluke chance hit one of these things. So the further away they get, the better. Right. Now the chances are incredibly small, of course, of a collision like that. Ooh, 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 don't want to damage that solar panel. Okay, right, let's try and get this puppy in. Ooh, you can see the purple icons close. And there we go. I think we're underneath it. Yeah, we are. The purple. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, there we go. Bam. Right, now we've just got to do Val, is it? Yeah. Oh, and Bop, of course. But we're not putting Bop into an orbit because it's such low gravity. We can just burn off it. So let's do Val next. And... Oh, whoa, look at that Delta V. We've got 600 Delta V left. That is not good. Negating velocity is at least like 350. And we need to do a correction mover here. It's only a small correction mover. Maybe we'll probably be okay. Because it's only like 300 Delta V we need to change. Actually, no, 300 Delta V from Lathe, so from Val it'll be more. Okay, let's see. Right, so what is our target velocity? 600 and... Oh! We're missing about 13 Delta V to do this. Well, let's try and do... We're going to have to try and do it with RCS. Which means that we're going to have to play tight on our RCS budget. This is getting close. It's down to the wire on so many things, this mission. This is ridiculous. Alright, let's try and do this as efficiently as possible. 3 seconds to our close approach point, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and we're out. So we're going to have to eject those, and then RCS. Go! Right. Point me in the direction of target. And RCS! Close approach says... Oh, we're down to 75% RCS. I think we're going to be okay on RCS. 66 meters. This was never in the design proposal for this mission. We weren't ever meant to do an entire, like, meeting maneuver rendezvous with RCS, but we've got a couple of tanks we haven't used. I think we did use the magneto thingy. So, oh, we're throttled up. Let's warp and. Luckily, the centre stage was designed to be particularly light, so the RCS can actually get a bit of Delta V. The centre stage, being designed to be light, is turning out to be very useful in more than just a return sense, because, we wouldn't be able to do this if the centre stage was actually any heavier. And point me at target! I've just figured out, yeah, we can also do backwards on RCS, so we don't have to keep flipping around every time. Set that as a target, and get a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, and there we go, parallel minus. Okay, let's try and get all these icons overlapped. Try and not collide with the nuclear engines because that's probably bad for the health. Ooh, bit to the side, bit to the side. There we go. What? No, no, I think, yeah, we weren't. Ooh, let's try again. And up. Up, come on. Ooh, keep oscillating. Wobble, wobble. There we go! Beautiful, right. That was everything that was planned in the original mission. Now we've just got to do the one that wasn't planned, which I added extra because I wanted to get all the moons. So let's go off from Bop. I think we've got plenty of Delta V in this. This isn't a worry about Delta V. So let's log magnetosphere. Are Krakens magnetic? We might have to come back and have a look at that Kraken at some stage, but for now, I'm going to say goodbye to Bop. Wow, Bop's magnetic gravity field actually feels rather heavy when you're trying to get off it like that. Now we're highly inclined, so we're going to have to, you know, sort out our inclination. That's one of the downsides, but we do have plenty of Delta V. Oh, hello, Gilly. Right. So, let's point me at the node, and then we can time accelerate to our maneuver node. And done. Right. Go! Now, one of the reasons that I really like to be able to point at node is because you don't know where your node is if it's off the front of the nav wall, and you keep spinning around looking for it. But with point at node, you can just go point me at node. However, it does have some interesting things which I don't really fully understand. Like, sometimes you'll come out of a time warp and it'll do... Look, there we go. It's doing weird things. And we're going to miss our window because of it. Let's burn hard, burn hard. I think we are just behind our window, are we? Yeah, we're a few seconds late on our window. But then again, we've got plenty of Delta V. It's not a massive worry. Let's just get rid of those. Bye! And let's look at our inclination. So I'm going to ignore the node for now. And I'm just going to keep burning until inclination gets to a minimum. So we're at 2.2, 2. So this is really useful, having inclination numbers. I like this data. 0.2, 0.1. 0.09. Oh, there we go. Actually, it's going up again. So there we go. We'll leave it at that. And let's try and get a encounter. Ooh. There we go. Skip ahead. You've seen too many trying to get encounter. Let's speed away until we can get an encounter. And... oh. Pointing me at the target. Now we have plenty of fuel left. So I'm thinking we can actually just dock with the tanks attached. You use the tanks to put the fuel into the main craft, because the main craft has burnt some of its fuel, and then we eject these tanks, so we actually, you know, use it as a refueling vehicle. Now I must point out that it's not ideal to have something on the front of a vehicle like this. The best bet is normally to trail them, because the docking ports work better that way. And this was, like, this docking port on top of this bit was meant to be for, like, refueling if we needed to, not really for holding our craft for return. So it will be an interesting thing. I think it's within fuel tolerance, but it'll be down to the wire again. Oh, let's check them. Alright, and we're going to have to try and manually equal the fuel out, which is always really, really annoying. Did we... I think those are... yeah, there we go. They're pretty equal. Right. Now, I won't do the hassle of waiting until we get the return node. So, I'm just going to skip ahead until we're in the perfect point for return. So, let's do our thing. It's going to take 1.8 kilometers roughly of Delta V. It's a very long burn considering our thrust to weight ratio is very low. It's about 1. It could be worse. This is why I have so many nuclear engines here. In theory, you could probably do it with one, but it would be a very long burn. And of course, the further you are from the particular point at which you want to apply the Delta V, the less efficient it is. So we'd probably be wasting a lot of fuel. Now, you can see that we do have RCS tanks attached to our things. We can get rid of them. They were made to be ejectable if we needed the extra weight, but I think we have enough Delta V that it's fine. Now I'm going to watch here and see if we can get our Kerbin encounter. I have set up a second maneuver node on our descending node so that we can... Is it ascending or descending? I don't know. Anyway, on our other point where we cross the plane so that we can sort our inclination, because Jool and Kerbin have a slight inclination problem. Here we go. Here it is. Coming in. And... now we're in the Kerbin system. Yeah, we also did a inclination change. I'm not going to bother about that. You don't need to see that. It's fine. And now we're going to try and burn to... I'm having problems actually staying on node. We're trying to bring our periods down so we can do a aero brake. But for some reason we're having problems pointing at the node. I'm having to actually decrease the throttle and keep the RCS on. You can see we're tipping. Very strange. I'm not exactly sure what was going on here, but you can see we've actually only got a few engines on. 5 of them, rather than all 9. So I just disable the other engines and then look at the fuel, and the fuel is actually disproportionately being used. One side has a lot of fuel, one side has no fuel, and one side has half fuel. It's very weird because these engines should work as 3 clusters, with each one of the 3 connected to the other ones. They shouldn't have disproportionate fuel. I just have no idea why that happened. So let's try and get our perips down. I think we're going for about a perips of 27 is apparently ideal. I'm going to go for 28 because I want to have that margin. And this is going to be really scary. Let's collapse our solar panels. I haven't ever done such a risky maneuver. What we're doing is, because we don't have the Delta V to do a manual braking, we're going to do an aero brake from Jool back to Kerbin with a craft connected by docking ports at a periaps of 27 kilometers. I have no idea whether this will hold together. Okay, I do, because this is a post-commentary yet again. But at the time, I was really, really worried. And you can see we've got like 5 kilometers of orbital velocity coming in here. Absolutely ridiculous speeds, and we're going down as low as 27 kilometers, buzzing the ground. It's insane. As you can see, we are now starting to ascend again. And our apparatus is coming down, it's coming down. It's still not in Kerbal Sphere of Influence. Oh, it looks like... yeah, there we go. We are now in the Kerbal Sphere of Influence. Now, to work this out, I actually used this online calculator. Just type into Google KSP Aerobrake Calculator and you'll find it. It'll be like the top link. It's incredibly useful. You just give it some data and it'll tell you how you need to aerobrake and at what height. And it turns out it really, really works. I was really worried. Especially worried about the fact that my thing was connected by docking ports and I didn't know if they would hold. Especially that thing on the front. But apparently, we were successful. We are now back in the Kerbin Sphere of Influence. And all we've got to do is push up our periods a bit. And we've got Delta V. We can do that. So, we've been successful. We are now back at Kerbin and all we've got to do is land. So let's eject the BOP one first of all. And move out to the side a little bit. Push off the craft to do so. Fire that off and use the Separatrons. And here we go. Now I don't really know where the landing site is going to be. We don't really have a choice because we're using Separatrons, not any particular landing option. And it's in the dark, so this is going to be interesting. Oh, something exploded. Oh, it was only a Sepratron. That's fine. Really worried there for a second. Let's try another one. Is it Bill? Here we are. We could eject the RCS tank, but since it's on the bottom, I'm actually going to use it as a cushion. I'm going to keep this science because we haven't used a couple of science modules, so might as well use them now. And... right, let's look at our altitude. True is less than above sea level, so it looks like we're coming in on land again. It looks like a plane. There we go. Okay, I think we're going to be fine here. Oh, fell over. Everything's fine. There we go. And let's use the RCS that's left on this one. And then Septrons. For some reason the chutes didn't deploy when I asked them to, so I had to do a manual deploy the chutes there. That could have been bad. Right, and where are we coming in now? Looks like we're coming in over the sea, because the above sea level is less than the true. So this is going to be interesting. I think I might eject the RCS tank. There we go. Because otherwise we're going to be very tall. And if we're tall and fall in the sea and we fall over, that can cause parts to explode and shatter. So let's just hope we don't... Ooh! Ooh, it's fine. Good. Everything got back there. And I believe this is our last science module. Jeb is coming in. Ooh, there's a mountain in front of us. Let's just hope we don't hit the mountain. Oh crap. There's a mountain there. There's a mountain there. Oh, I think we're just shy of the mountain. I think, yeah, we're going to be at the foot of a mountain when we land. Wow, that came so close to being a very, very, very bad landing site. Oh, it fell over and we're fine. Now, we just need to return our last Kerbal. Now, I was considering keeping this in orbit and just ejecting the module, because the force of the decoupler alone would probably be enough to actually reduce his periaps to atmosphere. But then I decided that, you know, we need to end it with a big bang and a finale. And we could have just left this in orbit and then refueled it and used it as a landing, another thing for an interplanetary voyage, and just refueled it. But let's do it properly. Solar panels burning away. They look beautiful when they burn away. I love how they burn away. That's beautiful. But, right, here we go. We're going to open the parachute at the last minute and also decouple. And we're going to watch this explode on the ground below us. Of course, you know, spreading radioactive waste. But then again, Kerbals aren't really known for their safety concerns. Oh, there we go. Look at the debris explode. Pretty. Right, let's get down to the ground. Ooh, here we go. Upside down. And it's successful! So let's see. Let's return all of our things. Now, where have everyone landed? The return vehicle. Recover that. That's not much science. It's just from orbit around Jool. Meh. Right, what else have we got? We have the Far Moon Lander. That was the Bop one. Pollen Bop. Ooh, 3,500 science. That's a lot of science. That's a lot of science, right. Some good stuff there, look at that. And there's a magnetosphere. Julian Moonlander. Which one will this be? Oh, that's not very much. I think this is... yeah, Val. Yeah, well, I suppose it was Val. 2,000 science from that. I'd say it's not very much. It's still amazing, lots of science, but it's not as much as, say, the 3,500 we got from Bop and Pol. Mystery Goo, Mystery Goo. Oh, that's still really good, right. So what's this one? This will be Lathe, Recover. 3,000 science. Tasty. Flying at Lathe, this at Lathe. Now, I realise now people have told me that I could have gone swimming at Lathe. But I've had a bad experience with Kerbals and water before. 2,500 science for Tylo. You know, Tylo's so annoying to land on. I kind of think that the science should be higher, but... oh well. That's still 2,500 science. Bloody hell, don't get me wrong. That's beautiful. So we've got 11,000 science now. So let's buy all the things. Let's buy large control. And mainsail rockets, launch tanks, hell yes. Ooh, quad adapters and stuff. We'll have that. A fusion engine. This is truly the future. What else have we got? We've got, ooh, big struts and stuff. I want that. Not as fussed about you. Now, somewhere there is better probes, because I actually want stackable probe cores. We need to find out where these stackable probes are. So let's... That's little landing gear. That's rover wheels. Ooh, that's science. There we go. Science lab and a graviton detector. We'll get that, totally. What's this? Ooh, antimatter collector. Containment. Antimatter. Hell yes, we'll have that. Ooh, what's that? Phased micro emitter. And a radioactive isotope generator. Figuring out where these small probes are. Yeah, we'll get the small probes of equipment. There we go, the probes are there. Now we go, we've got stackable probes. We don't need this as much. We don't need more probe cores. The best one, of course, being the small octagonal one. I think we want to grab this because it's got big batteries and everything. We'll have that. Ooh, what's it unlocked? The phased microwave receiver. We'll have that so we can, like, beam power to and from places. What else do we want? Yeah, the fusion engine. Ooh, what's this unlocked? Antimatter reactors. Imagine what we could do with an antimatter reactor. We could possibly create enough power to create like a warp drive. That would be amazing. But it costs 4,000 science, and we've got less than 2,000 now. Antimatter reactor would be so cool. Okay, well I think this means we're going to actually have to continue until we can unlock that. But oh, it looks beautiful. Right, so what are we going to spend the last of our science on? Let's get some rover wheels just so we can have a rover. Better rover wheels, you know, the ones that actually work. Ooh, what's this? Plasma thruster? Yes. All my yes. The power isn't amazing, but it looks good. It's efficient. I don't need more probe cores. It's like the last thing I need. It's cheap. Flight stuff. I don't really need flight, but it's cheap, I guess. Don't know. That's got a small landing leg, so we'll have that. Ooh, that's got a bigger landing leg and a drogue chute. Definitely having that. I definitely want a large landing leg, because some of the issues I've bumped into this episode were like I didn't have a landing leg long enough to actually fit below my engines. I guess we might buy the cheap stuff anyway, just 'cause it's there. It might unlock cool stuff. What's this? More plain stuff. Oh, we'll grab it. I don't mind. Plain stuff. Ooh, a thermal turbojet. Plain stuff. Ooh, it's got structural pylon in that one. Oh, we don't have enough science. I guess that's it. I've been EnterElysium, and stay shiny.